If you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, you've come to the right place. Today's story takes us to the heart of the American Midwest. When most people think of Iowa, they picture endless cornfields, college football, and quiet, idyllic towns. But tucked away in Iowa City, amidst the rolling hills of Oakland Cemetery, stands a monument so oppressive, so fundamentally wrong to look at, that locals refuse to go near it after dark. It is an 8.5-foot tall bronze statue known simply as the Black Angel. And according to the legend, if you touch it, you are signing your own death warrant. To understand why this statue is so feared, you have to understand where it came from. In the late 1800s, a Bohemian immigrant named Teresa Feldevert moved to Iowa City. Her life was an unrelenting series of tragedies. She had a son, Eddie, who was her entire world, but when Eddie was just 18 years old, he contracted meningitis and died in agonizing pain. Teresa buried him in Oakland Cemetery. Grief-stricken, she moved to Oregon, where she eventually married a man named Nicholas Feldevert. But the universe wasn't done with Teresa. Nicholas died suddenly a few years later, leaving her completely alone, bitter and immensely wealthy from his estate. Teresa returned to Iowa City with her husband's ashes, determined to build a monument for her family that the world would never forget. In 1913, she commissioned a massive bronze angel to watch over the graves of her son and husband. But when the statue arrived, it wasn't a comforting symbol of heavenly peace, it was terrifying. The angel stood over 8 feet tall, its wings unfurled, not in an embrace, but in a harsh, jagged V-shape. Its head was bowed, looking down at the graves with cold, empty eyes, and its face bore an expression of hollow sorrow. But the truly terrifying part began a few years later. Bronze is supposed to oxidize slowly, turning a soft sea green over decades. But this angel didn't turn green, it turned black, pitch obsidian black. The locals began to whisper. They said the statue turned black because Teresa had practiced dark magic to try and resurrect her son. Others said it blackened because of her overwhelming bitterness and anger at God. And when Teresa herself died in 1924 and her ashes were placed at the base of the monument, a freak thunderstorm allegedly rolled into the city. Lightning struck the angel, searing the bronze and sealing a curse into the metal. The rules of the Black Angel are infamous on the University of Iowa campus. If a pregnant woman walks under its wings, she will miscarry. If you touch the angel on Halloween night, you will die within 7 years. If you kiss the angel, your heart will stop beating within exactly 1 year. For decades, these were just campfire stories, urban legends meant to scare freshmen. But in the fall of 2018, a group of 3 college juniors, whom we'll call Mark, Chloe, and Liam, decided that the legends were just stupid superstitions. Liam, in particular, was an adrenaline junkie, a guy whose entire personality revolved around proving he wasn't afraid of anything. He ran a small urban exploration channel on YouTube and was desperate for viral content. On October 31st, as a bitter Midwestern frost settled over Iowa City, Liam convinced Mark and Chloe to break into Oakland Cemetery. The plan was simple: get on camera, walk up to the Black Angel, touch it, kiss it, and prove to the internet that curses aren't real. They had no idea that some monuments are black for a reason, and some sleeping things should never, ever be woken up. By 11:30 p.m., the streets of Iowa City were mostly empty, the typical Halloween parties raging indoors away from the biting cold. Oakland Cemetery is massive, a sprawling landscape of ancient oaks and Victorian headstones. The trio parked a few blocks away and hopped the low wrought iron fence. Mark felt a knot tightening in his stomach the moment his boots hit the frozen grass. There's a specific kind of silence that exists only in old graveyards, a heavy, suffocating quiet that seems to swallow the sound of your own breathing. Chloe held the flashlight, her hand trembling slightly as the beam cut through the thin, creeping fog. Liam marched ahead, holding his camera on a gimbal, whispering excitedly to his non-existent audience. Mark brought up the rear, constantly glancing over his shoulder. "It's just up this hill," Chloe whispered, her breath pluming in the freezing air. Section 14. As they crested the hill, the flashlight beam caught it. Even from 50 yards away, the Black Angel commanded the space. It didn't look like a statue, it looked like a monolithic entity that had fallen from the sky and frozen in place. As they approached, the sheer scale of the thing became terrifyingly clear. Standing at the base, looking up, the angel seemed to loom over them. The bronze was so tarnished, so unnaturally blackened that it seemed to absorb Chloe's flashlight beam. The angel's eyes had no irises, just deep shadowy voids staring down at the stone slab bearing Teresa Feldevert's name. One of the hands was raised, not in a blessing, but in a gesture that looked almost like a warning to stay back. Jesus, it's actually really creepy, Mark muttered, shoving his hands deep into his coat pockets. Liam just laughed. It's oxidized metal, bro. Watch this. Liam stepped up onto the stone base. The temperature immediately seemed to drop. Mark would later swear on his life that the moment Liam stepped onto the grave, the ambient noise of the city in the distance, the faint sirens, the hum of traffic, completely vanished. It was like they had stepped into a vacuum. "All right, YouTube," Liam said to his camera, his voice obnoxiously loud in the sacred space. "They say if you kiss the Black Angel, you're dead in a year. Let's test the Iowa curse." "Liam, don't," Chloe said, taking a step back. "Just touch the base and let's go. I feel sick." But Liam wasn't listening. He reached up, placing his bare hands on the freezing, blackened bronze of the angel's robes. He pulled himself up slightly, leaning his face toward the angel's lowered, sorrowful face. He pressed his lips directly against the cold, tarnished cheek of the statue. For a second, nothing happened. Liam hopped down, smirking at the camera. "Tastes like dirty pennies. See? Nothing." He turned to Mark. "Your turn, man. Just touch it." Mark didn't want to. Every instinct in his primate brain was screaming at him to run away from this towering obsidian figure. But peer pressure is a powerful thing. Mark stepped forward. He reached out and pressed his bare palm against the angel's hand. The metal wasn't just cold, it felt vibrating, like the low hum of a high-voltage power line. An electric shock of pure, unadulterated dread shot up Mark's arm. As he yanked his hand back, a sudden, violent gust of wind swept through the cemetery. It was so strong it knocked Chloe's flashlight out of her hand. In the sudden pitch blackness, an awful sound echoed through the trees. It sounded like metal groaning under immense pressure, like a massive bronze joint slowly, agonizingly shifting. Chloe screamed. Liam scrambled for his flashlight. When the beam finally flicked back on, illuminating the statue, the three of them froze in absolute horror. Mark couldn't be sure, and he tried to convince himself it was just a trick of the shadows, but the angel's head, which had been looking down at the grave, seemed to be tilted just a fraction of an inch to the left. It was looking directly at Liam. The three of them didn't speak. They turned and sprinted through the dark cemetery, tearing their clothes on branches and scrambling over the fence, not stopping until they were locked safely inside Mark's car. They thought they had survived. But the curse of the Black Angel doesn't kill you in the cemetery. It follows you home. For the first few weeks after Halloween, things seemed normal. Liam uploaded the video, it got a few thousand views, and life went on. But by late November, Mark started noticing changes in his friend. It started with a bizarre physical affliction. Liam developed a strange, dark rash on his lips and the palms of his hands, the exact spots where he had made contact with the statue. He went to the campus clinic, but the doctors were baffled. They gave him a steroid cream, but the discoloration only darkened, turning an ugly, bruised purple-black. Then came the bad luck. It wasn't just minor inconveniences, it was catastrophically dangerous. Liam was walking to class when a massive tree branch snapped and crushed the bench he had been sitting on just 3 seconds prior. A week later, he was driving on I-80 when all 4 of his tires blew out simultaneously, sending his car spinning into a ditch. He survived with a concussion, but he was changing. The cocky, arrogant YouTuber was gone. By February, Liam looked like a ghost. He lost 20 pounds. There were dark, sunken bags under his eyes. He stopped going to classes. Whenever Mark went to his dorm to check on him, the blinds were drawn and the room was freezing cold.
Liam had broken his thermostat, claiming he was sweating all the time, even though Mark could see his breath in the room. "She's here," Mark whispered one evening in March, staring blankly at the dark corner of his dorm room. "Who?" Mark asked, feeling that familiar knot of dread twisting in his gut. "The angel," Liam said, his voice trembling. "She doesn't walk. She just appears. She's in the corner of my vision. When I close my eyes, I can feel her cold metal face against mine. She's waiting for the year to end." Mark tried to get Liam psychiatric help, convincing himself his friend was having a severe schizophrenic break triggered by stress. But deep down, Mark remembered the vibrating hum of the metal. He remembered the metal groaning in the dark graveyard. Summer came and went. Liam was officially hospitalized in September. His heart was failing. The doctors diagnosed it as rapid-onset cardiomyopathy, an extremely rare condition for a healthy 21-year-old. His heart muscle was quite literally stiffening, struggling to pump blood. On October 31st, exactly 1 year to the day since they visited Oakland Cemetery, Mark got a frantic call from Chloe. She was sobbing uncontrollably. Liam was dead. He had gone into cardiac arrest in his hospital bed at exactly 11:30 p.m. The nurses who rushed into the room reported a bizarre detail that didn't make it into the official coroner's report. When they found Liam, the room was freezing cold, and a strange metallic-smelling residue, like tarnished copper, was smeared across his lips and face. The doctors called it a tragic, inexplicable medical anomaly. The university offered grief counseling, but Mark and Chloe knew the truth. Teresa Feldevert's monument wasn't just a statue, it was a trap, a sponge for a century of grief, bitterness, and dark energy, waiting for someone foolish enough to mock it. Mark attended Liam's funeral in a daze. After the service, he went back to his apartment, locked the door, and sat on his bed. He looked down at his own right hand, the hand he had used to touch the Black Angel's pedestal. Right in the center of his palm, just beneath the skin, was a faint, dark smudge, a patch of skin that looked almost like tarnished bronze. According to the legend, kissing the angel gives you 1 year, but touching it gives you 7. Mark has exactly 6 years left, and he says that sometimes, when he wakes up in the dead of night, his bedroom feels unnervingly cold, and in the darkest corner of his room, he can make out the silhouette of massive, jagged wings and a pair of hollow, unblinking eyes waiting patiently in the dark. So, if you ever find yourself in Iowa City, by all means, take a walk through the beautiful Oakland Cemetery. But if you see a towering bronze angel blackened by time and tragedy, keep your head down, keep your hands in your pockets, and whatever you do, do not touch the metal.